It's time for To The Last Drop podcast with Liam Delcalm and Brenden Nell.
We're back, and the Springboks are off this week. Well, not really off. They're sitting around waiting for a bunch of permutations to happen, and all sorts of conspiracy theories rearing their heads again in the World Cup. I'm Brenden Nell. This is To The Last Drop. I'm with Liam Delcalm, and today we have a special guest, DHL Stormers coach John Dobson. Welcome, Doa.
Thanks, Brenden. Thanks, Liam. Thanks for having me. I've been enjoying this podcast over the last month and a bit now, whatever it is. But thanks very much. Come.
Thank you. You're too kind. Welcome.
Thanks.
Now, Dobby, you're sitting in the wilderness at the moment. Hopefully not figuratively, but just literally.
We're literally in the wilderness. We played SVD in a friendly last week on Friday night. And this week we're actually playing we've got two teams playing SVD. One of our Stormers teams playing SVD, and the other one playing the Sharks are coming down. So it's like 10 days in the wilderness, and amongst all the hippies and the sea and other attractions, it's fun.
There's a couple of good spots there if you wanted to do a couple of markets where you can get good brisket. So keep your eyes peeled.
We've been offered biscuits and cookies.
I think you guys have got cross lines here. I think Liam was talking about brisket and you were talking about biscuits.
Oh, sorry.
They're two different things.
Oh, crap.
Very different.
Well, this is a good start to the pod at least. Everybody forgets that we're all in the middle of the World Cup at the moment, but everybody sort of forgets that URC starts in a couple of weeks' time. So you guys have been hard at work.
Yeah, we start our first game to the Lions away, which is the week of the semi-final. We 2 weeks off, pretty much 2 weeks off our first game. I'm looking at my calendar, week 10 of preseason. I know, I'm not sure who the Bulls have played. I think they're playing the Lions now, and the Lions played the Sharks last week. So, it's very much under the radar for obvious and right reasons. But it's going to become like a wave that jacks up on us quite quickly now, I think.
Obviously, with the change to URC 2 years ago, it took a little while to get used to. How were the guys finding sort of getting to the new rhythm of another season, especially in preparation for a new campaign?
Yeah, look, I think the World Cup has made it a bit more odd because we pushed back basically. I think last year we started the last week of September, so pushing back the extra month probably been useful actually, to be honest. After what we all went through, all of us, the whole industry went through, we sort of rolled, and we started that Super Rugby, then with that break, we rolled into COVID, rolled into a first bewildering URC, a bewildering Heineken Cup season. To have an extra little month in this off-season, I think has been really useful. Now it almost feels like we're about to go through a normal process, which is good.
How have your new signings been coming through? Especially, a lot of talk about Ben Loader, and maybe just explain to those who don't know why you guys signed him.
Yeah, it's unlike us to go for lots of reasons. It's unlike us to go to the foreign market. Yeah, it's a curious thing, Brenden. Normally, wings fall off trees in the Western Cape, and for some reason, our production line they sort of dried up. Hasn't been helped by a lot of our wings being attracted to go elsewhere, which is the market, and probably a lot to do with our fault. But when we lost Sabelo Sonatla, one thing we have discovered in the URC is sort of crystal clarity on our game plan, and our wings have to be strikers, guys can chase kicks, and so. And then London Irish, we saw that thing came down, and we liked Ben Loader. We played against him twice in the games, one in the Champions League Cup games, one in Cape Town, one in London. And one in London, he got a red card, he got a high tackle on Manie. But we were super impressed with him. So we knew we didn't really have too much ability to get after him. So we dropped something about us trying to go after Henry Arundel, which would have been like something like Harry Potter. We could never get him. But we actually after Ben Loader, and he actually he's a really good guy. He wanted to wait until he made sure that his other friends in London Irish had jobs. There's no chance of London Irish being resurrected. And he's fitted in brilliantly. He's going to be really, really good. He's physical, can play 11, 14, 15, kicks off both feet, got real X factor. He's fitted in really well. Warrick's come back as Warrick. Luckily, come back as the next version. I know 2.0. I think he's learned some hard yards in France. Life isn't always greener. So Warrick's great. Warrick is going to be a game changer for us because it also allows us to mess around a bit with Damien. Damien could go in other positions, move forward, gives us more depth at fly half. And the two loose heads, Lizo and Steve, have been wonderful. Because we lost in a sense. People say, why do you get two loose heads? Brocky must be 47 or 48 by now. So he couldn't really run around at loose head anymore. But with France at the World Cup for so long, and we'll need a break. And with Sazi Sandy, we think he's a hell of a promising tight head, got quite a serious knee injury. Brocky will have to move across, and he's in quite good shape. So we lost two loose heads with him and Kitsi. So having Lizo and Steve, look, you don't replace Steve and Kitsoff, but I think we've done as well as we could. And they weren't even playing Currie Cup at the back end last year at the Unions, so it's quite a bit of rebuilding on them. But those are the signings. I must say, maybe next year we look at a lock, maybe another centre to give some backup, but. Probably the happiest, best, most energized, cohesive squad we've had. I know we can't talk about Stormers for too long. The cohesive squad we've had. So I'm really excited with where we are.
Just quickly on Warrick, have you? What has he picked up in Paris?
He's so more astute with general game management than he was. Look, I don't think they're overtrained there. I think that the French training frustrated him. He's lost 7 or 8 kilos since he came back here. But definitely a massive awareness around the kicking game and just general game management and he's matured. That's exactly what he's matured so much. I think both because of the off the field tougher experience, but just in those guys, those French league games are often like games, the big games of chess, boring chess, pieces move up the table, and he sort of picked up that element. There's no player in the world I wanted back more, but having back so much more aware of the game, he's actually probably of the players I've ever coached, he's probably now got the best rugby brain. Like he can sit outside a game and watch it and see stuff that we're not seeing, which is really exciting for us.
Yeah, you must warn players before they go to Paris. The Confit de Canard and the Jambon Bears will catch them soon enough.
So he was a big machine that got off the plane.
He quite enjoyed the French life there and off the field, shall I say?
Yeah.
But I think we must move on to the World Cup. But I'm just going to say we'll get back to you at some point just to hear how you're going to sort of manage that in the season with Manie, Damien, and all these other guys that are suddenly in your backline. You've got some interesting choices to make when the season comes along.
Yeah, that's it's going to be very tough. It's something we're all going to learn. We'll get to do.
Yeah. Just looking at the World Cup, just your thoughts. You've been obviously watching. I know it's unfair to ask you about specific things with the Springboks and that as a franchise coach, but just your general impressions about maybe trends that you've seen in the World Cup and what's really surprised you in terms of the way the teams have played.
Yeah, look, I thought there was something that really worried me before the World Cup was. We spoke to Tapa a little bit about it before the competition started. There used to be a law that you had to be realistic. The law was saying you had to be in a realistic position to catch the ball. Now, they've got this thing to play the ball. And we saw that Munster absolutely pulled our pants down in that URC final. Well, those guys, you saw it. We've seen it in many games, not just our game, where the sort of chasing guy launches himself 3 yards up, just goes with a hand to try and tap it back. And the poor wing or fullback is catching the contestable. He can't tap it back because he's the last line of defence. He's going to be tapping back towards his own try line. And to me, this was causing collisions and really unfair on the receiving guy. I thought if both guys in a realistic position to catch the ball, I think it would make it safer and I think it would make it more competitive. I thought this was going to encourage far more box kicks before the World Cup. Look, we were very, very clever against Scotland with the Finn Russell type, Manie type, open side contestable kicks. You call them fades or cross kicks or what do you want to call them, kick passes, those kicks, because they haven't seen as many as I thought, because there's a bit of a spin of a wheel there, isn't there? Sometimes the opposition can score if they beat you. I think a good way of getting by of sort of challenging a rush defence, of getting behind a defence. So that's nice. I think it's been a better product than 2019, and a better product than I was expecting to be seen in terms of attractive rugby from South Africa and lots of other teams. Just England have gone back to being England.
Yeah, what I've picked up is it's something very similar, but also maybe taps into the audience you're playing in front of, because in Japan, people would have probably taken whatever comes their way. But the French crowds they get on your back if there is too much kicking. They've not been scared to boo people.
The noise of the crowd switch is instant, isn't it, in France?
Mm.
You're with Liam Delcom and Brenden Nell on the To The Last Drop podcast.
But just also, I mean, to me, it's been quite interesting, obviously, the talk about Manie and Handré, and I'm sure you, like every other South African that followed, the whole debate about Manie's kicking and that. A lot of it a bit unfair, but I suppose that comes with the territory of being a Springbok 10. People expect you to make certain goals. Just some insights. I mean, you guys got it right, and Gareth worked a lot with Manie at the Stormers. What have you seen in terms of that whole debate with Manie's kicking?
Yeah, look, I mean, the Ireland game obviously was the terror, wasn't it? That's when the whole world unfolded and everything came crashing down on Manie. And he missed 2 kicks. I know they were, of course, imminently kickable kicks, but to miss 2 kicks and attract that amount of vitriol when you've brought so much to that game and the Springboks in terms of attack, and I think Rassie speaking about what Manie's brought to the game is great. And we probably got the return on backing Manie in very similar circumstances. I remember him having an awful game for us once in Durban early on in his reign. And I'm saying to Manie, don't worry, Mans, you play next week. And, I think people thought I backed him, but the truth was Cade Volunteer was injured and Tim Sweel was injured, and I just saw the return we got from back. And I think the Springboks did a very clever thing, because I think since the start of this World Cup, we've seen a far, far more assured Manie in terms of attack, trying things, I think when he went off that World Cup, he felt really backed. The thing with Manie, he practices his goal kicking all day, but he never let us down with a match-winning, must-win kick.
When he's had a couple of setbacks, he's actually the guy who looks quite unflappable and tends to bounce back.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I think there's this paradigm that somebody like him, because you're mercurial, I'm trying to think, maybe somebody in the past, you guys remember, a mercurial fly-half or something like that, or for when they spiral,
Michalak.
When they spiral, they're meant to spiral completely and just fall apart. I promise you, he's got big match temperament. There's no question. That game against Ulster, we won in the semi-final, the first GRC. He'd missed 3 or 4 kicks before then, and then slotted over from the corner. That exactly goes to your point, I think. How do you see it?
Look, I mean, I'd honestly say, I mean, you carry on playing him. I think it's good to have Handré there, and I think my whole view has been it's better to have 2 good fly-halves there and choose according to the opposition. And so to me, it's not a either-or situation. I don't think I'd change the midfield. I think both our 12s have been exceptionally good this World Cup. And I mean, it's the same thing with Lukhanyo now. Do you bring Lukhanyo back in? I just don't see him having played enough rugby. It's great to have him there. But I mean, it's not like Jesse Krill has been playing badly. I know that Lukhanyo's got all sorts of nuances that Jesse doesn't have. But also, I mean, W, maybe you can also answer this one. I mean, what does it do to a squad? I mean, you've seen how when you bring players in from the outside, you've got to. That's the other thing that also, it's a very thing you can easily upset that squad dynamic by, bringing a guy from outside and suddenly playing him.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think that's what I said. I thought they were genius at the start when they took Manie alone. And how Manie's reacted to that. I haven't spoken to him, but I think, and I've been guilty of it. A lot of us second guessing Rassie and Jacques, and then you guys know, we all know them. They've got every plan scenario genius. They've way ahead probably my thinking or our thinking right now.
There was also the Owen Frank scenario, I think, for the last World Cup. Also not in the tournament, but just before, where they decided, well, we're going to go with other guys.
Yeah. I don't know how much the quarterfinal opponent, I mean, it's too late now, but the quarterfinal opponent, I don't know what level that changes thing. It looks like France, and how much that changes anything.
I think to me, I mean, that's as I say. I mean, we're talking about a coaching team that's won a World Cup, so they have earned the benefit of the doubt in these scenarios anyway. Yeah. I mean, look, at the end of the day, if they fail, they fail, and then if they succeed, it's another World Cup, and everybody's happy. So I'm pretty happy leaving that to them. But I just think, the whole sort of debate's been a bit overblown. Just as this week, the conspiracy theories, and I don't know how much you're hearing on that side of the world from it, but if I have to open Twitter again and hear how France, Ireland, and Scotland are going to have this Faustian pact to go and score 49 points. The other one scores 21. And, I mean, I'm just so sick of wasting energy on that. But It's rather ridiculous. And I can't see teams preparing for stuff like that, especially when Scotland just have to win 8-0 or by 8 points to be through.
I did have a little chuckle, and this needs to be taken with a pinch of salt. But and you know me and conspiracy theories. But when I saw Nick Berry as the referee, I was like, oh dear.
Yeah, the irony hasn't been lost there, I must admit.
That's probably got more legs than anything else. But yeah, that's just. I mean, Brenden, you're right. We shouldn't waste any time. It's such an impossibility that two teams. I mean, we've been approached with it. We've had to. I can't remember one competition. If we got a losing bonus point, and you go up to the opposition coach and say, "Give us one today." But to do something of this thing, those guys will be thrown out of world sport forever. It will be a thing of rugby. Before you've even got into the staff, you've got 46 players involved. Drop that guy the next week. He's going to say to you, I'm going to tell you what you did. I'm going to tell what you did against Scotland. It's just, you know what I mean? It's just, you're right. It's wasting our data if we carry on with that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's rather ridiculous. But I suppose it keeps people entertained in a week where there's not much going on. There should be enough in that game anyway. I mean, I think if I was Ireland, probably the last team you'd want to play in this scenario was somebody that you play every year that knows you so well. I don't think Ireland are going to lose, but Scotland are going to make it very tough for them.
Yeah, Scotland was so poor against us because they're such a better team. They didn't use Pierce Kummer. They didn't run off 9. They just try to move the ball wide, and we just absolutely crunched them. But they'll be much better against the Irish team that they know. Skuman and them will start carrying off 9 again. They'll open up both sides. I agree. I think with you, Brenden, I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I think it's going to be a high level. And Scotland's style of rugby, other than against us, is brilliant. So, yeah, but we're through. There's no question we're through.
Yeah, the two teams that are maybe worrying me in a little bit is England and Wales. The fact that they both qualified, and while I don't think they're in the same league as the top 4 teams in the competition on our side of the draw, they, especially Wales, they're building a bit of momentum, and both of those teams have got the ability to drag you into the gutter and maybe have that one big game that, especially against after you've battled through the big pool to get to that point.
I thought it was quite telling in the warm-up game between England and Wales, when England had, I think at one point they had 12 players, and Wales had the lead, and they couldn't get the job done. That they're certainly missing an element there. They just don't have the basically almost the BMT to win a game. I know it was a warm-up game; it didn't really matter, but that they still needed a couple of components, a couple of layers to their game, and their self-belief, perhaps, to go on and win a big tournament.
I think they've got a lot more self-belief now. But I think Brendan's right. In the gutter, they'll be hard to get rid of.
I suppose there's also that 2019 semi-final where I thought I sat there thinking, why is this game still within a score, of being decided on the other? And, of course, Pollard got us over the line then. But it was almost a case of, have we shown them too much respect? Because, I mean, you just felt the Boks had an extra gear and they just didn't want to go there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, France, the Boks do have an extra gear now with the back 3. Look, I think... you're going to think I'm completely Stormers crazy now.
You can use that word.
If we go on and win the World Cup, obviously Anton de Pong will be close to World Player of the Year, but Damien Willemse will be on that list, and you've got a back 3 of Cheslin Colby and Kirtley and Damien and Manie. It's just an X that wasn't there perhaps in 2019, I think. I'm definitely biased and I might be wrong, but I just think he's just bringing something else as well.
I just want to bring up something. I thought Mava brought it up yesterday on Twitter, and I thought it was actually quite a pointed thing, is that, for all the talk about head clashes and player welfare and things like that, a broken cheekbone is or eye socket, as Makazole Mapimpi did, to bring a player back like that after a head clash like that, surely there's got to be some sort of player welfare questions asked. I mean, I know we all want to see DuPont at the World Cup, but I mean, not if it's going to be long-term issues for him. I'm just wondering. I know I sound like a South African trying to paint a conspiracy theory there, but
But I think from a team point of view, they're going to put all their hope on this guy now, rush him back, get the special mask made. If he doesn't make that game, I would thought there would be an argument saying, chaps, we're going to stand up, we're going to get through this quarterfinal by ourselves, and Anton's going to lead us out in the semi.
You're with Brenden Nell and Liam Delcom on the To The Last Drop podcast.
Listen, you've got another job to do, you two, because we've got probably the three of us might not see a World Cup in South Africa again, thanks to the corruption around the fringe, but half of them are in jail, and they've taken our World Cup away. But there's that element to it. I mean, that's the truth. Yeah. I mean, this tournament should have been in South Africa. And you've got this possibility of the host going out at the quarterfinals. It's incredible.
I remember being in Paris the day that announcement came through, because of that was done in the UK. And when the announcement came through, it was because we all obviously expected, that the preferred bidder was going to get it. And once news came through, it was just so deflating. And of course, the Boks were building up that week to a test against France. So it was just, I just took the wind out of everybody's sails.
I wonder if that'll come up next week or 2 weeks. Yeah, that weekend, the quarterfinal again.
I'm sure somebody will bring it up. So.
It would have been even better if it was the build-up to the final, actually.
Yeah.
So then, why are you there? Tell us, what do you do in an off week like this?
I don't have an off week. I've actually had I had yesterday off, but it became also a traveling day, and I'm off today. So those are only 2 off days I'll get in 50 plus days. For the other guys, I know some of them made a plan to catch a ferry somewhere. I'm not sure what they did or where they went, but they went across the waters, and I don't know where they ended up. But the point is, you can't go too far because it's a World Cup, and if something happens, you still need to be around to do what you've been sent for.
And David, do you guys get a chance? Do you take off during the training camp to watch the games? And most of them are late at night, at least. So.
Yeah, so the guys watch them they watch Sunday night. We didn't. The management took Sunday night off completely. We went to a backpackers, and this funny place in the wilderness, and Mike DeFries, our media guy, he was going to the bathroom and he was taking a bit of strain. We've been going for a fair long time. So he wasn't looking too stable, but he went off to the bathroom, and some sort of guy with bare feet came up and offered us, gave him a Coke Zero and said, "It looks like you're having a bad trip." I don't know what they thought Mike had a few castle lines. No, but we actually, I've actually learned a bit with camps is not to fill them with as much time as you want to do team building stuff all the time. When we do, so tomorrow they got completely off. They can go to Nice and play golf or whatever. Sometimes that downtime is hanging in each other's rooms, bonding. It's as important as the sort of, the training and the sort of team building time. But tomorrow's right off, then we play Friday, then we're done.
The irony for me is that we've got, while I'm at the World Cup, you guys, I think, see a lot more because you either traveling or you're busy writing, or if there's a 9 o'clock kickoff, you're invariably probably in your room. And it doesn't mean that, the place that you're in has access to, the particular channel that you need, to watch a game. So I think you guys will end up watching a ton more than I would have.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I still think that's a complaint that doesn't go down well because you're at the game. So sorry, I'm going to deny that one.
I'll send you a picture of my next bouillabaisse and a glass of rosé.
I can see when you said about missing out on the ferry, Brenden didn't feel too sorry for you. That's your biggest complaint, missing out on the ferry trip.
Yeah,
seas were choppy.
He said to me last week, though. He said last week he's got this half bottle of rosé. I was thinking, what's this thing of a half bottle? I mean, I've never seen Liam with a half bottle of anything, to be very honest. So.
Sometimes I see the bottle half full, Brenden. I mean, I'm that kind of guy.
You see, yes, there has to be that. Obviously, we do a bit of wine on the show as well. I had, I must admit, last night I also, I'm a bit rusty this morning. I'm not as wide eyes as I should be because also I've done a book and it came yesterday. The book finally arrived, and I know you've written books as well. So and Liam as well. So
Brenden, what's the book? Which is the book?
The book's a book on Derek Hougaard. It's an unauthorized biography, so it's an interesting one. It's a bit different for South African market. So, and yeah, the book arrived yesterday. So that feeling of actually having the book in your hands after all that hard work. So I had to open a bottle of wine or two. So,
no, well, I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I mean, firstly, right, unauthorized biographies are brave. They're not part of our culture. Yeah, it's very much part of the UK.
Absolutely.
Stuff. So well done with that. And yeah, I've as with Liam, with winging it and all that, he's written I mean, it is a feeling of a baby. People don't appreciate that. It's a well done name. Yeah.
No, thanks.
Yeah, the writing process itself is a beast, because you just, when you start out, even if you're halfway, you just feel it'll never get done, and it's like eating an elephant.
And that almost feels like it's so long ago, because there's obviously that period after you've written it till it gets edited and now it's in form. So it feels like it's almost years ago.
You sort of fear, originally an authorized one, you might get some message in your say, listen, this is sorry, this is. Are you worried about that at all, Brenden, or is it like?
No, I don't think so. I think I always went out with that thing of it's been a difficult process because it's not a great story to tell. And I mean, I don't think a lot of people know the ins and outs of the guy's story, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster in terms of trying not to throw the guy under the bus, but telling the story honestly, and talking about the ugly stuff that has to be talked about. It's I'm sure I'm going to get some blowback at some point as well. Because rugby fans don't like it when you sort of unmask sort of some. Unmask is probably the wrong word, but sort of show them certain things about their favorite players, and especially in Pretoria. He's a huge hero. And still, I hope he stands out of this. I mean, the fact that he ended up in a coma about 3 months ago, I mean, just shows how serious the situation was. And I mean, to me, I mean, we don't want to see anybody there. But there's obviously bigger questions there that also need to be addressed. And I mean, we could talk about hours about player welfare and players leaving the game and what happens to them afterwards, and how that spiral becomes a big thing as well. So, I mean, there's lots of those issues as well that are addressed in the book as well. So, it was a bit of a labor of love in a way. And I think, there's going to be a couple of eyebrow-raising moments in the book for a lot of people.
I mean, I do think it's something that's important in South African journalism or literature that we do go this route rather than these sanitized things, And just quickly from my side, I did an exercise with all my players over the last month. And it's just, I've been blown away by how guys have got made issues. I played, and maybe you guys did rugby recreationally. And if I got dropped, as a hobby, could have done remote aircraft flying, but I played rugby. And if I got dropped to the first to the second team, that was it. That was the fine, or the second team to the third team. These guys, I'm trying to think of one guy I didn't think out of the 47 conversations I had didn't have a serious demon, a serious thing, whether they. It could be less serious than playing for a passed away father, or trying to support 8 siblings, or the pressures. There's nobody playing rugby because they just enjoy the game. Very few guys, nice model C school, go to varsity cup, play rugby. Even those guys are battling, what they're going to do afterwards. Their dad's passed away, or their mom, they're supporting a single mom, or whatever the story. It's mind-blowingly darker than it was, I reckon, 20 years ago. So you've done a good thing there. I think it's something we really, I'm saying to our guys, our new investors, we're going to get caught short on this unless we start addressing this really, really properly. It's going to be and Hougaard may be a good talisman, and so well done for doing that.
Well, that's almost a show on its own if you just tackle that put that in isolation and just sink your teeth into that.
I think we should address it at some point. I mean, to me, the whole thing was, at the end of the day, if that book helps one person sort of identify issues and try and get somebody help, or then it's done its job. So obviously I love sales. I mean, we all love sales when we do a book, but I mean, if it does that, then I feel that I've done a decent job on it. So but if you're listening to this, the book's called Derek Hougaard, the ware story van Loftus Liefling. It's in Afrikaans, unfortunately. Trying to get them to do an English version, but if there's enough sales, I'm sure they might look at it. But go out and get it if you can. Okay, I think we've probably kept Dobbo enough. He's going to go do some training for his team as well. But thanks for joining us, Dobbo, and hopefully we get to speak to you again a couple of times this season with some good Stormers news at some point.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun. Yeah, well done, Brenden, Liam. Enjoy the show, man. You poor thing, you can't go on the sea today, but enjoy the rest.
Yeah, I wish I could show you the view from the apartment. It's overlooking the port of Toulon, and there are many sailboats out here, and there's no wind today.
Liam, I'm going to leave you with a thought. Not one of those sailboats are yours. So.
Cheers, chaps.
Anyway,
Cheers,
thanks, David. Cheers, guys. We'll speak next week.
Thanks for listening, and a reminder, you can find all the To The Last Drop podcasts on the Brenden Nell YouTube channel, iono.fm, Spotify, player.fm, Pocket Casts, Google Podcasts, and iTunes, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts.